It was, and it, like I said, it folded flat so you could put it in a bag or you could, carry it with you. It was so convenient. It was a
Yeah.
great, great
I know,
concoction.
like, traveling in itself can be expensive, but then getting the things to make it easier can
Yeah.
also be kind of expensive. So you just
Yeah.
kind of have to, like, pick and choose what's most important for
Yeah,
you and that
definitely.
trip, because I could have gone nuts on stuff that I'm like, oh yeah, this would be great. I could totally use that,
But
but you
how many
gotta, like,
times are you
pick
going
and
to use it?
choose.
Are you
Well,
just going
that's
to
the
use it
thing.
once while you're there, or is it going to be like an
Well,
everyday thing?
Well, that's the thing. You have to pick and choose, like, what's
Hmm.
most important? What am I going to use, like, for just this trip? What can I use in the future? And you just kind of got to decide, like, what's
Well,
important to
even
invest
renting the
in.
things, like
Yeah.
if you're going to rent them, make sure you're only getting the things you need to really need, not stuff
Yeah.
that would just make your life super, super
And
easy.
then,
Hi, everyone, and welcome to a brand new episode of She's Got It Together. I'm your host, Jessica.
and I'm Samantha. Each week, we peel back the curtain on what it really looks like to have it together.
From the messy moments to the milestones, we're here to share it all.
So grab your favorite drink, get comfy, and let's dive into today's topic.
All right, we are back, and today's episode is going to be all about traveling with our kiddos. So, Sam and I both have some experience with this and different ways or modes of traveling, but we want to start out talking about in the car. I mean, I think we do that the most, and I imagine
Yeah.
that's probably the most common for everyone, most economical these days.
For sure.
But I mean, it doesn't even have to be long trips. I mean, it can be, a couple hours here or there, or it can be, like I think you go, what, 13, 14 hours to New Jersey? Is
Yeah,
that how?
we went to New Jersey. It took us 13 hours.
Yeah,
Um,
that's
but yeah,
a
we
hike.
go, back home to see mom and dad and you, and
Hmm.
it's like 2.5 hours. We go up
Yeah,
north. It's like an hour and a half. So, Bo's in the car a lot, and he's been in the car a lot since he was little because it was important to us to be,
yeah, he's a good
able to,
traveler.
like, yeah, it was important to us to be able to go up north because we go up a lot. It was important to us to see mom and dad and you, and so he's been in the car. He's been in the car a lot. But I think with Bo, like, and I was also, you have to also consider, like, if you're breastfeeding, like I was when they're little, you're going to have to make stops for that. You can't just, like, take them out of the car seat and, feed them, even though you might
Can't
want
sit
to.
in the
Like, you
back and
can't.
just flap it out
Right. Well, I actually
over
did see
'em?
this. I did see this
Oh no.
video. Well, it was a joke. It was a joke.
Uh-oh.
But this girl was like, they were traveling and like her kid was breastfeeding and he was hungry. So she just like, instead of getting her kid out of the car seat, she just like leaned over, and like gave him her boob while he was in the car seat. And it was a total joke. But I'm like, I feel you because sometimes you just don't want to stop. You just want to
Yeah,
get there. And you
right.
do have to take those moments because even if they eat out of a bottle, like you're really not supposed to feed them when they're that young in the car seat because they can choke and like you need to burp them. And
Yeah.
so it's like a whole thing. But, you just have to, prepare to have more stops and just kind
Yeah.
of go with it. And just allot yourself more time if you can than like the actual travel time because I think we had to stop one or two times usually once with Bo for going home it was like 2.5 hours so he would
Yeah.
when he was younger and eating like every couple hours we would usually have to stop at least once like halfway because I would feed him right before we left like he'd be
Yeah,
done and
time
we'd
it
get in the
just
car
right.
and go. We would time it. And we did the same for up north. Like I would feed him and then we would get right in the car
Go.
and go. And then, for an hour and 45 minutes, like he wouldn't need to eat. So I'm like, I'm feeding him now and then we are going. So make sure the car is packed, make sure it is on and ready to go. Because the second he's done, he's getting burped and we are getting in that car and we are going. Because I'm like, I do not want to stop if we don't have
That's
to.
funny.
So unless he had like a blowout or something, which only
Right.
happened once
Oh yeah.
so far, you just have to really plan your time out with the
Yeah.
breastfeeding, especially, I mean, if you're bottle feeding too, like you still, like, you'll want to feed them like right before you go, and then feed them like when you get there, or
Yeah.
have a bottle ready so you can just take them out of the car seat, feed them, put them right back in, and move on your way. I think it's
You know,
just about
what's
anticipating
funny?
what's going to happen.
I mean, when we used to do this, and I mean, it's been almost 10 years since I've fed a baby in a car.
Hmm.
But it wasn't really as frowned upon to feed a bottle in the
Yeah.
car as it is now. It's crazy how things change. I mean,
Oh, for
then,
sure.
it's just like putting the bottles in the microwave. I mean,
There's new rules every year, I feel
it's
like. Like
crazy.
there's always, like, now, like before you weren't supposed to have lunch meat, or
Oh,
you had to
yeah.
heat it up in the microwave if you were going to eat it. Now you can
That
just eat it. Like,
Well,
it's not a
I
big
could
deal.
eat lunch meat. It was never a problem. And then it was a
But it's
time when
so funny cuz, like, when I was pregnant and stuff, and like my mother-in-law and my mom, they were like, "Okay, well, you can't do this. You can't." I'm like, "Yes, I can." And they're like, "No, you can't." I'm like, "Yes, I can. I talked to my doctor." Like, I was like, "This is not the 90s anymore, or the
it's
80s anymore."
funny. Yeah, I don't. It's just crazy how things change. And I mean, it's like
Hmm.
laying them on their back or laying them on their stomach. Like, I
Oh,
mean,
I
that has
know.
changed a few times. But
A
I,
safe
used to
sleep.
I used to feed Taylor in the car all the time. Well, Hayden
Hmm.
too. I mean, just in her car seat, just holding
Yeah.
her bottle. In fact, the bumps on the road usually burped her.
Well, that works out perfectly. See, and
Like,
like then you could literally travel anywhere if you could feed him in the car. And I'm sure some people still do. I just didn't. One, because I
yeah.
couldn't, because
Well,
I was
you would have
breastfeeding.
had. I mean,
Um, and like Bo did take a bottle, but I'm like, you know what? It's just easier,
yeah.
especially in the beginning, because like then you got to pump and you're uncomfortable, and it's like, no, they just need to eat from me.
Right.
But we went to New Jersey this past November for Thanksgiving, and that was like Bo was a year old at that point, and that was his first like pretty long trip in the car.
Yeah.
So we weren't sure like how he was going to handle it. So I got him. Of course, like I was scouring the internet and Instagram for like travel tips with
Of
kids, which
course.
actually came out very helpful. I got him some new toys, like a busy book, and then I got him this like light switch thing, like a busy light switch thing that he liked. And then it also helped because Bo doesn't like it when it's super dark in the car. So the lights like kept it nice without
Yeah.
having to like have like the car lights on, because that's like distracting for Brett at night. Um, but I just got him some new toys. I had lots of snacks. And on the
Yeah.
way to New
Snacks. Always
Jersey,
snacks.
yeah, snacks were big, and he was just getting into like snacks, so it was nice. I'm
Little
like,
puffs.
here's like a yogurt melt, here's a puff, switch it up. But what we did on the way there was we broke up the trip, so we left at like 5 at night when Brett got out of work, drove like 5 hours, got a hotel, stayed in a hotel, and then got up early the next day and drove like the rest of the way, the 6 hours or 7 hours or whatever it was. And that was nice. He actually surprised the heck out of me. Slept straight through in the hotel and was fine. He did really great. I found he was just like a little out of it. Like normally I thought he would just go to sleep, because his bedtime's like 7. I thought, okay, he'll like be in the car for a couple hours, then he'll sleep. It'll be fine. Well, he
Yeah.
didn't do that. You have to
Oh.
anticipate. Like, he did not sleep. He was cranky. And I'm like, I thought this would have worked out better. Well, on the way home, we're just like, okay, let's see how he does driving straight through. So the drive is like 11 hours or so. It took us 13 to get home. We stopped 3 times to change him and get some food and just get him out of the car. And he did so good. Like, he
Wow.
slept, he ate, he played, he barely cried. 13 hours straight in the car.
Amazing.
Got out 3 times. Not for that long either. It's not like we spent a ton of time out of the car. And he was way better during that 13-hour stretch than he was on like a 5-hour stretch at night, which I thought it would be the complete opposite.
Yeah.
And I don't
That
know if it
goes
was
to
just
show.
his mood that day, but yeah, I mean, so the
Be
reasoning,
flexible.
Yeah, it's like you can't necessarily, you can try to figure it out and figure out what works best for your kid, because obviously this was our first time driving that distance, and we really were like, okay, let's just test it and see if he can do the full 13 hours instead of breaking up and getting another hotel room and all this stuff. Because we were going to Colorado around spring break, and we're driving, and that's like a 18-hour car drive. And so we're like, okay, we got to figure out if he can even handle being in the car that long.
Yeah.
And of course, like, we are definitely breaking up that trip because
that's
hard for me. And then I'm going to be like 5 months pregnant at that time too, which is not going to be the most fun. But he did great. And I just had a lot of snacks. I had new toys that he'd never had before.
Yeah,
so
new toys.
That's a
is
big
a
thing.
good
Is
tip,
new toys.
I think.
And I only got like 2 new toys. I didn't go nuts. But I mean, there's even these cool little like snack bins you can get. And I got these like squishy window things and stuff like that. That was more for like the plane. But I think the other thing that like surprised me with him too is just like he really didn't have like a crazy blowout or pee, or I figured I was going to have like some kind of crazy like diaper situation, but he was fine. I'm like, this is great. So I was pleasantly surprised by our long trip.
That's good. Yeah. I mean, so with the older kids, you know, when we travel, I feel like we have more headaches than you probably did.
Well, they're more vocal.
They are
get
very
bored
vocal.
more easily, probably.
Oh my gosh. Are we there yet? Are we there yet? It's so frustrating. Our kids aren't really great travelers, but
well,
we still
and
try
that's
to
the other
travel.
thing is you like with Bo at that time wasn't really into like TV, and like you can't just like put a show on really for him at that point. So I would put Bluey on or something if he was getting kind of fussy and he just needed something to distract him from like being in the car. But he wasn't really watching it. He just likes the intro song, and then he'd be fine. So now he has a stuffed animal that plays it, so I don't have to do that.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
No, I think as much as I don't like the constant electronics for the older kids, it's like that is the one thing we pack. We make sure things are charged in the morning, and we have like in our truck we've got an outlet, so we actually have a power strip in the outlet so that we can charge multiples on our long trips, and it makes it so much nicer. I mean, whether it's, you know, the DVD players or the kids have, you know, their iPads, or I mean, Taylor likes to have her computer. It's just, it keeps them calmer because we've tried doing like books and things, but they get car sick.
I do too. Yeah,
I know.
Even being on my phone, I get car sick in the back seat, especially like I'd be, and I was going back and forth from the front seat to the back seat. Because I get kind of car sick in the back, especially if I'm moving around, like helping Bo, and I'm just
not looking out the window.
I'm like, I need to be at the front. So our Colorado trip will be interesting because I'm going to be in the back.
And you did claim a bucket seat, right?
Yes, yeah. Brett's going to be in the far back. He's just probably going to sleep anyway.
Right. Sleep.
But if I get that bad, then CJ would be totally fine switching with me because she just would be next to Bo, you know. So we'll see.
Yeah, that's hard. But as far as packing, so that's like the other thing to all of this. Packing for a long trip. I mean, when you have all the baby stuff.
Oh my gosh, yes.
When we went to Gatlinburg, do you remember? So we went to Gatlinburg when the kids were younger, and we took Sam with us as our babysitter / like, I don't know, nanny. I don't know. She was really
whatever you want to call me.
She was just.
I got a free vacation.
It was fun. It was really fun. So we had the truck. And we had to make it work with, you know, just what we could fit in the truck bed, basically. Right. Which, I mean, it was a week-long vacation, and it's not like
with kids, everything's double. You got, especially, like, back then, I don't think, like, Airbnbs have as much stuff to accommodate kids as they do now.
They don't.
Like, a lot of times now they have, like, pack and plays or gates or whatever for you there.
Yeah.
But back then they didn't, so it's like you had to pack all that, or you had to, like, buy it there and then either take it home or return it or whatever you're going to do with it.
Yeah.
So it definitely adds up. It
we
takes
had
up
to
a ton of room.
we had to go buy a gate. Remember, there was a staircase in there that wasn't originally supposed to be there because they made they added a room.
It was like a game room or something.
It was a game room and the spiral staircase, which was not part of like the description of the pictures. And I specifically picked this Airbnb because there was no stairs.
Right.
There was no second floor. Like, so we had to go buy. You'd think they'd
talk about their new addition with a game room. On
it didn't work out so well for me, but I mean, it was a great place, but not what we had planned. But we had to go buy a gate for that, and then we ended up packing the pack and play of our own and taking things like that. I think if we were traveling by airplane, like we did for Texas. Right. That's when I got a little creative and bought things on Amazon, had them shipped to the Airbnb. And no judging, but I had most of it sent back and returned.
You barely used it.
We barely used it. And that's like, I didn't need it, nor did we really want to spend the extra money when we weren't going to have any use for it.
Well, and then like, what do you do with it when you fly home? You know, like you can give it to your people there but they didn't need it either. So
no, they didn't need it. So it's just like that was.
Well, now they actually have companies that do this. Like now they have companies because I looked into this when we went to San Diego for Brett's brother's wedding, but they have companies now that you can just rent stuff from, and they'll even drop it off at like your Airbnb. They'll set it up for you. You can get cribs, gates, cups, silver, like whatever you need that you can rent. It's nuts.
That's smart.
My friend Ashley did it when she went to Florida, and she said it was awesome. I mean, luckily I didn't have to do it. The Airbnb that we got in San Diego had everything, or I just brought what we needed. Yeah. But now I feel like you can specifically look for an Airbnb or a VRBO that's either kid friendly or has like pack and plays and gates and stuff like that. Which is so helpful when you're traveling by plane.
Yeah, because I mean, really at that, I mean, this was, what, 8 years ago? 10, no.
Yeah,
10 years ago? No. How long have they been married?
It's
Taylor
honestly
was like just over a year.
So like it was almost 10, 10 years ago.
Yeah, and there was no other choice.
There's nothing like that then.
Yeah, and there was
Airbnbs were like just kind of becoming like a thing, kind of, you know, and like they didn't have all that like stuff to accommodate families. It was just kind of like what they had at their house. But now you can specifically look for that stuff, and I wouldn't mind spending a little bit more on a place that had that stuff, because then you don't have to worry about buying it. You don't have to worry about renting it. But if you know are going in with other people on a house and that's like what they want and they don't have baby stuff, you can find one of those places that you can rent it. You know, and they'll
that's a great business model, man.
I was looking into it so deeply that they will bring, like, if you need a car seat, because we needed a car seat. We weren't flying with ours. Bo was just a lap baby. I didn't want to bring our car seat. We ended up buying one and then bringing it home with us. But you can even rent a car seat, and they'll bring it to the airport for you, so that you can get in a taxi or a Uber or wherever. They'll deliver it to you at the airport even, along with your stuff. Or you can get it, like, it's nuts. Like, you can, it's so helpful, smart so too. Smart. Whoever, like, came up with that is probably doing
another
very
mom.
Well. Probably.
Another mom
I mean, of
that
course.
had all this trouble.
Exactly. These businesses are, a mom definitely had to
because we're so smart, you know? Us moms, we got it. We just have to,
I know, you
have
just
a
like
moment
you go.
To put it together.
If you have a second to like collect your thoughts, we could all be bajillionaires of all of the cool inventions or businesses that we could invent if we just had a second. And if we didn't have like the mom brain issues half the time, where we could collect our thoughts and have them in it.
You know what we need to fix, I think, and I don't think that these little delivery services do this, is the formula issue. So when I flew to Texas, well, we all flew to Texas, and Taylor she was just barely one. You know, going through customs with the formula. She was on a very specific formula.
Well, not customs, but
and it was liquid. TSA.
Yeah.
And they wanted to open every bottle, even though they were all sealed. Like, they were in the actual...
The ready-made bottle.
This ready-made Similac, because they're liquid, and they had to be liquid. And they have to be, when you open them, like they have to be in a refrigerator.
Used.
So
Well, yeah.
yeah,
Or
like,
used
well,
within a certain
and
time. And
right. So there was no way we could open them, and they, they were going to throw them all away, and they're
Ugh.
expensive. It was like a
Well, yeah, she
whole
had a
thing.
special formula, you
She
know?
did. And I had some shipped to the
Yeah.
Airbnb to use, but this was like what we took in case there was some problem at the airport,
Right.
if we were
Yeah.
delayed. They don't have that there, and this was like
No.
enough. This was like a day and a half's worth that I took with me
Yeah.
just as a precaution.
Well, if your flight gets canceled and you have to stay in a hotel or you're
Yeah,
delayed or,
like
you
there's
have to anticipate that.
so many things. And like I
You
said,
can't
they
just
weren't
give them
open.
food.
They had the foil seal. I mean, they swiped them all and to make sure that there was no contraband on them because,
Well,
like,
and
I don't
that
know.
just happened to be when there was an issue with drugs being like smuggled in through baby formula.
Yeah, actually,
Like
you're
that
right. It
baby powder
was.
cans. That's when there was
Yes.
like kind of an issue with that, I think, because I remember
Yeah,
it being like a thing. And then we were going to Texas, and it was
we
like by
were.
the Mexican border, and I think
It
they were
was.
just like
You're right.
making an issue
Like
with
you,
it.
I know they said the only way we could go through with it was if one of us was like completely searched. Like, I don't. So DJ is like, well, you're not touching my wife, so you
Right.
search me. But it was like a whole half-hour debacle
I remember
trying to
that.
get her.
Formula.
And I'm just like, I can't go without the formula. She has to eat. This is all. This is
Well,
this is
and I feel
required.
like it's gotten a little bit better, but also it hasn't because I saw this mom, like especially with breast milk, like
Oh
they're
yeah,
like
that's terrible. Yeah.
there's
What do you
just
do?
been way too much stuff where because you can bring it back with you like frozen or whatever
Hmm.
if you're choosing to pump and bring it back if you like leave your kid and you're pumping and you want to bring it back with you you can and they this I felt so bad. This woman, I don't know how long she was gone, but she had like over 100 ounces of frozen
Oh my
packed
gosh,
baby like breast milk.
that's
And she had it all
gold.
packed so that it would stay cold. And they literally opened it up and like were scanning each pack to the point where she was like, you have to close it up. All of this is going to spoil. It's getting too warm. It's thawing. Like it, they did not care.
Ugh.
The woman was just like scanning each one and she ruined this woman's 100 ounces of breast milk that she pumped. And the woman was crying and people were like yelling at this like TSA person.
Wow.
And it's like she didn't care. She's like, I have to scan each one. Like she's like, well, can you at least like cover the other ones up so they're not getting like
Right.
warm
Do it
air
with a
and
little
like
care.
so I feel like there's been some steps, but they're not it's not good enough. Like there needs to be something that changes with that because you have to be able to bring enough food for your baby or you have to be able to at least be able to bring it back for your baby if you're gone
Yeah.
and pumping like because that
Right.
for a woman that's breastfed that is like liquid gold and if
Yeah.
I pumped that's about how much I pumped if not a little bit more for when I was gone for 3 days from Bo.
Yeah. When we went to Florida.
Like
Yeah.
it took me so long to do that and then when it's just like gone like that it is like so emotional.
Devastating.
It's
Oh my gosh.
devastating. And people don't care because they don't know, or they're like, "There's
Well, it's
nothing
not like
I
you
can
can just
do
go
about
quickly
it."
pump more. Your body only
No,
produces so much.
yeah, and it's crazy. I feel like that definitely there
That's
has to be a
terrible.
better system for that because I guess she's not really my friend, but somebody that I knew, she was at the airport. Same situation happened where she got delayed, her flight got canceled, and she couldn't leave. She was running out of her formula, and she couldn't leave the airport because then she couldn't get back in to get on her
Right.
flight. They wouldn't let her go to her suitcase where more formula was.
Formula. Hmm.
And she's like, I have to feed my baby. I don't have anything. And so then she was just like crying in the airport, and people were like asking her what's wrong. And so all these people were trying to help her find formula for her baby so that she could feed him in the airport. She couldn't go anywhere. They wouldn't let her go to her
Right.
bag. She ran out of what she had, not expecting to be delayed like almost like
That's
15 hours.
right. Exactly
It's
why we
like
took some
she's just like,
with
I don't know
us.
what
You
to do.
know.
Like I
Yeah.
can't feed him food. It's not like I can chew it up and regurgitate it like a bird.
Right.
Like
I'm
there's
not a
just
bird.
like it's nuts. So I'm thinking like there should be almost like a formula bank or something at the airport.
Yeah. No, there really should be.
There should be something.
There's nursing rooms there. You know what I
Oh
mean?
yeah,
Like they
I
have
use
a
those.
nursing
They have
room.
them.
Right.
They have like mom pods, nursing rooms, and like they should have like
Why
a
don't
formula station.
have
You can
something
still
with that.
buy it, like have formula there. It's just mind-boggling that they don't, and maybe they do,
Right.
and I just haven't noticed. But
I
feel like
mean,
there definitely needs to be like something to help.
yeah. I
people
mean,
in these
it
situations.
could be literally like a formula vending machine in there.
Yes.
You know, and all it has to be
This
is
is okay, Jess. This is what we need to invent. Shh! Don't
my
tell
gosh.
the people. This is our new
Whoopsies.
idea. Nobody steal it. It is trademarked. We are making formula vending machines for the airport.
Oh my gosh. But really, like something so simple, and it's very specific, obviously, but it's what we need as moms. I mean,
Yeah.
these horror stories wouldn't be with something so simple. And I mean, it doesn't have to be, you know, like 100 vending machines in one airport. You put them with the, you know, the breastfeeding rooms or the whatever. Even
like the nursing rooms or the family well, they can just even be in like they have so many stores in there. Just have like a vending machine or sell formula there. You know,
I mean, it's just there's something. And the other part to that though is like you almost have to. I mean, I get that like the stocking of it is an issue and all of that because there are so many and there's so many.
But the thing is, though, like in a dire situation, you will be okay with like giving your kids something. I know there are certain things like special formulas that certain kids have to have, and like maybe that's something that could be accommodated. But in a like dire situation, if you just have like a few options of formula there in case you absolutely needed something, I mean that would be helpful.
I mean, they carry diapers.
Do they? I've never looked.
They do. I have found diapers there.
That was one thing that I definitely overpacked. I was like, I cannot run out. But then it's like you could go to a store when you got there and get diapers. But I was like, I just need to make sure I have enough. I don't know if he's going to pee a bunch on the plane or.
Yeah. Well, I had to get on the plane early. Remember in Texas on our way home to change Taylor?
I don't remember.
Because she had a blowout.
Oh, God. Well, that's the other thing. Another tip that I found with Bo is what we did when we flew from Grand Rapids to San Diego. We did have like a layover flight. But what I did was I let Brett get on the plane first with like all of our stuff.
Yeah.
And then I let Bo couldn't walk at this point. But I was just kind of walking around with him. I didn't want him to crawl on like the dirty ground.
Yeah.
But I just kept him off the plane as long as I could, so he wasn't sitting on me in the plane for an extra 45 minutes while everyone's boarding, because that's like added on to our already like 4-hour flight or whatever it was. So I just waited until like the last possible minute to get on the plane, and that was super helpful. And then when we were like taking off and landing, I would breastfeed him, even if he like wasn't like hungry. I would just do that so his ears wouldn't pop.
Yeah, that sucking. Perfect idea.
So that helped. But just like small things like that. And again, like I got some new toys for him. I got like sticky things for him to put on the window. I got like a suction kind of like fidget spinner that he spun on the window. And then I got painter's tape, which was like the best. One, you can use it to like at your Airbnb, you can use it to like baby proof things and like cover outlets and like, you know, like tape doors shut or whatever. And I saw this on Instagram.
That's a really good idea.
But then they just like pulled
damage,
you know, they just, no damage. And he would just pull the painter's tape off the window or off the chair or whatever. And was, you know, it was sticky. It was fun. Like he loved it. And then he did sleep a little bit, but on the way home from San Diego, we had like a later flight and I thought he would just sleep. Well, luckily, our flight wasn't like a sleeping flight because he was awake, ready to go. Like,
of course he was.
Like, smiling at everybody, like, not yelling, but like, cooing and like kind of like making noise at everybody. And he just
Look
had
at
like the
me.
whole area of the plane, like just like staring at us and playing with him. And I'm like, I thought people, it was like 11 p.m. flight. I thought he was gonna just sleep and everyone's quiet and the lights aren't on. Luckily, everyone was talking by us and like the lights were on and they were reading. And I'm like, thank God, because this kid is like ready to go. He is like
That time change.
playing with everybody. There was one moment that like I almost like I was pretty calm. There was one time where he just like on the way there, I had my earbuds in and he was standing up and he was getting kind of antsy. It was close to being done, but not quite, landing yet. And he was just getting that antsy feeling and he kind of was throwing his toys back. And then he hit like the guy behind us. I'm like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. And I'm like, Brett, stop giving him toys. Well, he threw it again and the guy kept picking it up and giving it to us. And it was a younger guy. And then like Bo like hit my ear and my earbud fell out and it went down the little crack of the seat. And I couldn't reach it. And I'm like, God damn it. Like I was like, oh my God, I'm about ready to
Brett,
lose
take
my
your
shit.
child.
I'm like, Brett, you got to take him. And then the guy was like, oh, did you drop your earbud? I saw it like go down there. And I'm like, great, it's going to be at like the front of the plane. I'm going to be that person left behind on the plane trying to find their AirPod that fell out. And so then luckily the guy's like, I see it. I can't reach it right now, but I'll grab it like when the plane lands.
Well, that's good that
he was so
nice.
nice. I'm just like, oh my God, thank you so much. I am so sorry. He's like, no, he was great. Honestly, it was funny. I'm like, okay.
He's a little comedian.
He honestly was really good on both flights. He just had that like one moment. And I'm like, if that's the only moment you had like the whole time, like that was great. And it was his first time flying. It was our first time flying with him. Like we were just like, what do we do? Like, you just kind of got to wing it, see what works.
I mean, there really isn't anything. You're at the mercy of whatever's happening. So.
Well, and I'm like, I hope his ears don't hurt, kind of. You just, who knows? But he did great. Well, I think
good.
Just snacks, toys, distractions,
snacks.
Trying to be as prepared as possible. But I mean, there's always going to be something, and you just kind of gotta roll with it.
Yeah, that's one thing I've always realized is not to be overly stressed about the situation because they feed off of that. When you're tense, they're going to be tense, and it makes the situation
they can just feel
worse.
that energy, so I feel like if
I'm bad with that because I do get tense, but I'm working on it.
Aren't we all?
I'm working on it. I've gotten worse in my older age. I've noticed I tend to, I don't know, freak out first and then calm down later, like instead of, I don't know.
Yeah.
But I think it's with the older kids. I think it's just like, better. Why can't you just, get your act together and just
I think, you have higher expectations for older kids. And you're just like, when they don't meet those expectations, you're just like, what's wrong with you? You're so annoying.
I'm like,
why can't you just do
failure? Like, come on, you know the drill. I mean, like with them, I think one of the biggest things with them on a plane is like having something for them to color. It is so funny.
Yeah.
Like coloring, like just whether it's colored pencils and one of those really intricate, books.
Puzzles, things.
Yeah, like that seems to be like the hot thing right now. Mm-hmm. I mean, it used to be in the car. You remember the ones that you'd get the little book with the one marker that would change, like the color would show.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like Taylor still loves those. It's so funny.
I mean, that's great, though. I mean, at least like that's something that's, not a screen, it's something that she can be creative with. But that's the thing, too. It's like, if you have to use your screen, use the screen time.
I know.
Like, who cares?
That's what
it's like
we
you
do.
just have to get through sometimes. And I feel like now especially there's so much controversy on screen time and using electronics. Yeah. And it's like, it has its place, and sometimes like you just have to overuse it. Like there are just things where you just have to get through a little bit of time and it's okay. Like
Yeah, when
feel
there's not
like
something else that they can be doing. I mean, it's not like they can go outside and play. We're driving, you know,
right,
or we're
yeah.
flying or whatever. You know, they can't leave. I think music helps too. So if they
Yeah.
put music on and they're not watching something, like Hayden will do that. She'll put her AirPods in and she'll listen to music. And it's funny because, you know, they're both in the back seat and they put up a pillow wall so that they have their boundaries and they don't have to look at each other.
Oh, nice.
Like, okay,
That's what
this is
I
we
did
need
though.
to do.
I listen to music all the time in the car. Like when we went with Brett's parents to Colorado, we
player.
drove. And I just listened to my music on my phone literally the entire time and like slept.
Yeah.
And his mom's like, "You guys are so boring. Like you're just listening to your music." And I'm like, one, am kind of car sick. Two, I don't want to talk the whole time. And then three, it's like, what else am I going to do? This is like an
Right.
18-hour car ride. We have
play
plenty of
cards
time to
back
talk.
here.
Like, we can talk later. Like, we have lots of time. I just need to, like, chill, listen to my music, distract myself. And I did that to Florida when we went in high school. Mom and Dad were, like, all four of them just, like, were listening to music. They barely talked, and they were all sleeping. And of course, like high school, you just sleep all the time.
Well,
but
that's part of it.
I'm
Yeah.
just like, that's what you got to do to distract yourself, or you'll go crazy in the car for like 24 hours.
I always did that.
Like back
when I was
then,
a
there were
kid.
no like tablets or stuff like that.
I had that little Sony CD player with the
Yeah.
headphones in the third row of the Suburban. Remember when we
Yeah.
were? Because you guys had
That's-
the TV that would sat in
Yeah.
between the two front chairs. But yeah,
Yeah, we never had like portable DVD players. We had that TV, that portable TV that you stuck in between the two
the
armrests.
VHS
Yep.
went in it.
That was before all the new cars have like TV systems.
I mean,
and
it was in
everything.
a Suburban, but it didn't have them in the headrest or anything.
Well, and like quite honestly, like I just think back to like our childhood and like how things are now, and I'm just like, I would love to like be able to raise my kids how we were raised like back in the 90s, because it's like we weren't watching TV all the time. There wasn't like iPads and texting and all these phone things. And I think we played PlayStation every now and then, like in the winter, or they'd kick us out and be like, no, you need to go outside. It's nice out. You're not watching TV. You're not watching a PlayStation. Like go. And we just like made up games, we
made up
did
games,
stuff, we were outside, and I'm like, I feel like kids don't do that as much anymore because they have all of this stuff, you know, that they can use.
Exactly.
And I'm like,
stuff.
I feel like with Brett and I, like, who knows what will actually happen when they're at that age, but we'd like to like limit as much of that kind of stuff as we can.
Brett
but it's
really
hard.
likes his games.
Not anymore.
No,
Now that
not
we've
anymore.
had Bo, he doesn't play.
Really? Oh, that's good.
No,
I
he doesn't.
mean, he used to play that all the time.
Well, okay, this was he was never a video game guy, and then when Alex moved to California, that was their way of like connecting, because it's a 3-hour time difference, so they would play each other. Like Call of Duty or whatever it was, because I bought him the Xbox for Christmas, and I deeply regretted it. But I did it because he's like, I want to play with Alex, like all this stuff. And then I'm like, God, why did I do that?
Did I?
Because he just became like obsessed with it.
Okay,
and then
that makes sense.
And so now like he does not play
Got it.
anymore.
Rachel's not going to have that.
I don't even think Alex really plays that much anymore. I really don't know. But Brett and Alex don't play together. Like Brett's not on anymore. But yeah, he did go through a phase, and I was like, I am going to throw this Xbox off this apartment deck where we were living at the time. I'm like, I am getting rid of this thing. No, not so much anymore. But
that's good.
You know, there's like a perfect example this morning. Like my sister's over here watching Bo, and she brought her son Bennett, and they were just not cooperating and all this stuff. And I'm like, you know what? I've been seeing all this like Miss Rachel stuff online. Like, let's just throw on Miss Rachel. So I like caved and went to TV, and then I turned on Miss Rachel, and they both stopped crying and look and have been fine ever since. Like, she didn't leave it on the whole time, naturally. But it calmed them down, and they watched it, and I'm just like, okay, well, let me bite my tongue here for a second, because I just put TV on to calm my kid down.
You gotta do what you gotta do sometimes. just have to be intentional with it, I guess. But yeah, there's a time and a place for it, so can't
sure.
completely.
And traveling, I
out.
feel like there's leeway on that. Like
Yeah.
traveling, there's leeway on the screen time. Traveling in the car, traveling on the plane, like different ages too, like
Yeah.
require different things
Yeah.
and different leniencies. And I think that just being like prepared as you can be, but also just know that you're going to have to be flexible and things are not going to go like you planned.
Yeah.
And I think for me, that can be hard sometimes because I'm such like a planner. And if it does not go the way it's supposed to go, it's like, ugh. But I feel like since having Bo and like dealing with those situations with a kid, I'm much better. But when it's like just like me and Brett, I like have a higher expectation, I guess. But I think just being prepared as you can be, but definitely be flexible. Have all the toys, have all the snacks.
Yeah, one of the things that I've started to do is I pack the girls like a bag of random things. Like they each get a little bag. Even now, like when we drove to Chicago over Christmas, they have a bag of like new things, like you were saying, new toys. But it's just like coloring books, or it's like the snacks. Like I got special popcorn, or I got like these little cheese puffs that were supposed to be like snowman poop or reindeer thing, like just funny things. And we'll put them in there, and everything's new. They've never seen it. It's, intriguing to them. And then I always put in there like a little craft, like something they can do in the car. Obviously, we're not getting the hot glue gun out and making some kind of crazy bead concoction, but something in there that they can, like it's those, maybe an ornament that you actually have to like sew around with the, the big plastic needle and just put it together. And they're just something that is like, it has some thought.
Yeah.
To it,
and you have like an outcome, like you have something.
Yeah, like you got to put a little teeny bit of stuffing in it, and then it's super easy, but it's just something that's a little bit more than coloring, and but you don't have to read, like I don't know,
right?
Just something to fill in all of those moments that they seem to have in the backseat, because you never know what they're gonna feel.
I know, and it just depends on the day. One day they might be fine traveling, and then the next, like, they could just be having a day where they are just, like, super antsy. They don't want to be in the car. They're grumpy. Like, you don't know.
I always get them a new movie, too. And I made a huge mistake, because this was a Christmas trip, of getting them Prancer. Do you remember Prancer?
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Taylor started watching it, and she yelled at me, and she's like, Mom, why would you ever let me watch this movie?
What's wrong with it?
It was just a terrible movie, apparently. Like,
oh, she just didn't like it
because they were gonna kill Prancer and all of this.
Well,
stuff.
It is a bit, but they didn't. But
they didn't, and this is an old movie from when we were kids, and we watched, and I thought this would be perfect. It's a good story. And she was angry, angry. It was, it was something. But yeah.
Well, one thing that I have found with traveling, whether you're driving or you're flying, when it comes to like packing, I have started, and this is not my idea, I have started packing Bo in like the like the shoe holders that you put on the back of a door that just hang. I like will roll up his clothes and put him in there. I did that going to San Diego, and I do it, honestly, every time I go anywhere with him now. And it goes in one side of my suitcase, or you can do their own suitcase. And it's literally like you just will take it out and hang it on the door, and you're done. He's like unpacked. They're all rolled up. You can roll them up by outfit. Like, it was perfect. And then it keeps you organized when you're at your Airbnb or you're at whoever's house. And it's perfect. I literally pack that way all the time.
And it's the shoe size one?
Mm-hmm. I mean, they're like decent. I mean, yeah, it's like the normal size, like just like clear plastic thing you hang on the back of your door. I think I had one to put Beanie Babies in at one point.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just roll up his clothes and I put him in there. I even put like extra diapers and wipes and like socks and whatever in there. And then it just literally folds right into like a side of your suitcase. This is what I did in San Diego. And then I packed in the other half. And then
with all your black that you can't find anything in.
Yeah. Black's my color if you can't tell. But that has been a huge packing hack that I've got that makes it so you have everything, you can see everything, you're not digging around in a
Yeah,
suitcase.
I hate the digging around.
Then
We
I'm like, it's
tried.
not getting wrinkled. You can see all your outfits. And that was the other thing with San Diego. We had a wedding and we had all these other events we had to go to. So I'm like, I
Yeah.
could visually plan out each outfit and put them in there. And I had other options and just regular clothes and bathing suits and stuff for him. So that packing worked out so well that I will never go back to just throwing his stuff in a bag. And then you can do one for each kid, depending on if
I
it's a
like
longer
that a
trip
lot.
or like a if it's a short weekend trip, you could probably fit 2 kids in one. It just depends on what you need.
Shoot, you could even label it, if you
Oh
wanted
yeah,
to
if you want to get real
get all
fancy, you can
fancy.
label it. Yeah, I know you're a labeler, but
I am a labeler.
I mean, you can get cuter ones. You can, I got like a cheap one off Amazon or whatever, but
Yeah,
you can
look at me.
you can
I'm
make it
getting all
as simple
crickety
or
on here.
as
I'm like, I can cut out
organized.
this and
Yeah.
make
Oh
it
yeah. You
pretty.
can be as simple or as fancy as you want, but it is amazing. It's great. That's my one big tip is use that to pack your kids because it's been a life-changing experience for me.
I like that. I think that beats out mine because I was gonna say like when we went to Disney a few years back, we used the different sized like little bags to put everything in, and it worked okay. But the problem was you couldn't see in it, and I
Right.
actually think what you're saying is better because you can see. Because we did it by outfit, so like every
And you
day
can label if you want.
the label because they like it worked well for the bigger clothes and we had like 2 outfits in each, so like each side was an outfit, but I'm wondering if yours would save more room.
Oh yeah,
So
it
either
definitely
or.
did. And then I could even fit like my big suitcase that I used. It even had a little bit of like extra room on the side of that part of the suitcase where I could put like his thicker like sleep sack or a blanket
Yeah.
or like more of my stuff that I was taking because we had to take so much stuff just because we
Yeah.
were going to be there over a week, but that saved so much space because it was all in one spot. And then when I got to the Airbnb, I just literally took it out, hung it on the door,
Well,
and
that's
he was ready to
huge.
go.
Because
Yeah,
nothing
'cause
that
you don't
I've
know
ever
that-
done is ready when you get
Well,
there.
that's
It's
the thing,
like,
and you don't have to like unpack him, or if there's not a dresser or like whatever there, you don't have to live out of your suitcase. It's up there.
I know.
It was
I don't
great. And,
ever
like,
do
luckily-
dressers because I
don't
always
either.
forget. I don't.
I know.
For one, other people do it, and I'm funny about that. And then 2, I'm afraid I'm going to leave something behind.
Yeah, I know.
I'm just.
I
funny.
when we went to San Diego, we were lucky because this specific Airbnb had like 2 pack and plays, baby gates, like all that kind of stuff. But one travel hack I did do was Brett and I his mom got us for Christmas this compactable stroller that we wanted, and it literally folds up into a like square and has a bag
That's
and you
cool.
can use it as a carry-on. So we didn't want to bring our big stroller because there was a stroller there that we were going to use if we needed it, but this one literally you just like go like you fling it out and it all
Shake it
connects.
out.
Yeah,
Nice.
the only thing about this one that I ended up realizing was an issue, it didn't have like a big canopy. So in San Diego, there's sun.
Sunny.
And so
Yeah.
when I used that one to like walk in the morning, I had to have like a blanket or something over it once it got sunny because it wasn't like protecting him enough. But there are other ones that have bigger canopies. They might just not be as compact, but it was perfect for going around the airport and stuff like that. And you can
That's
fold it
cool.
up, put it on as a carry-on. Which was
Not
great.
taking the big old one. You remember me taking the big
No.
old honker?
Well, and then, I mean, I've heard, like, so many people say, like, the airline broke their stroller and, like all this stuff.
Yeah.
It's all dirty. And I'm just like, I'm not going to do that. And luckily, like, we had a stroller there that we could use.
Yeah, that's nice.
Because, like, they knew we were coming. They asked their friends if they had strollers that we could use.
Oh,
and
that's
then the
perfect.
Airbnb had. That's the thing. If you do have friends or family that have friends, like we didn't really know anyone in San Diego, but like Brett's brother and his fiance and her family and friends were there, so they knew kind of what we were going to need and asked if they could borrow certain things. So we got a
That's
stroller.
a good tip too. Just to ask.
Yeah, and like, they weren't using it like that weekend, or they could go without it that weekend or
Right. Or they
something,
have, they
or
have
they have
two. Maybe they can
extra.
use the,
Right.
the smaller one or whatever,
So that's something that you can do, is just like ask your family or have them ask their friends, if, because like Alex and Rachel don't have kids yet, so they didn't have anything. So they asked their friends and then got us the stroller, and then the Airbnb was great because it had everything there. But I brought a little like fold up high chair thing for
Mm-hmm.
Bo, just to have at the Airbnb, because he could sit in like, a high chair or something if we went out. But it was really nice because there was nothing there. That was the one thing, they didn't have a high chair or anything
Really?
there, which I was kind of surprised about
That's
because they had
surprising.
literally everything else. Yeah, they
Usually
had
that's the
everything else.
first thing they have.
I
I mean,
know.
gosh,
They
the
had
bachelorette
multiple
party one
pack and
had one.
plays. Yeah, they had multiple pack and plays, multiple mattresses for the pack and play, and they had baby gates, like 3 or 4 baby gates, but they
I
didn't
wonder if they
have.
were left there from people that
Well,
had.
honestly, they could have been. They very well could have been. So I brought this one, and it was just, he was 10 months at that time, so I just put him in, and it wasn't like it was on the counter one. And I'm so glad I brought it because he just ate every meal there, because otherwise
Yeah.
I would have had to like hold him or something. And
Yeah,
that's
I
not
always
fun.
like that one that hooked on the table or the counter.
Yeah.
I folded flat. I had
Yep.
that one for Hayden, I think, and I love that because it would fit pretty much anywhere, and you just secured it on there.
Yep.
It
You
was
can take
so,
it to
I mean,
restaurants. You can have it
we had it up
outside.
north. I
Yep.
mean, I used it at home. It was, and it, like I said, it folded flat, so you could put it in a bag or you could, carry it with you. It was so convenient. It was
Yeah.
great, great concoction.
I know, like, traveling in itself can be expensive, but then getting the things to make it easier can
Yeah.
also be kind of expensive. So you just
Yeah.
kind of have to like pick and choose what's most important
Yeah,
for you
definitely.
in that trip, because I could have gone nuts on stuff that I'm like, oh yeah, this would be great. I could totally use that,
But
but
how
you
many
gotta like
times are you
pick
going
and
to
choose.
use it? Are you just
Well,
going
that's
to
the
use it
thing.
once while you're there, or is it going to be like
Well,
an everyday thing?
Well, that's the thing. You have to pick and choose, like, what's most important? What am I going to use, like, for just this trip? What can I use in the future? And you just kind of got to decide, like, what's
Well,
important
even
to invest
renting the
in.
things, like
Yeah.
if you're going to rent them, make sure you're only getting the things you really need, not stuff
Yeah.
that would just make your life super, super easy.
And that was part of the thing of me deciding, like, okay, I'm not going to rent because I didn't need enough stuff. And the stuff that I did need, I'm like, I could use this again. I'm just going to buy it.
Yeah,
And I've
right.
used that little high chair thing a million times. So it's like you just kind of got to decide what's easiest for you and your family and your budget, and like what you
Yeah.
ultimately like want. Do you want to be able to keep it? Do you want to be able to return it? Do you want to be able to just rent it and not deal with it?
Yeah.
So I think it's all just kind of on like what you need in that moment when you're traveling. But I think Brett and I will definitely do a lot more like car trips with our kids. Just because flying's really expensive. And
It
then
is,
you gotta
and it
pay
sounds
for
like
everything there, and it's
Bo's a good traveler.
Bo's a very good traveler. He's a good car traveler. He was a pretty good plane traveler too. But I think a lot of the time if we do plane trips, it'll be to like go see family. And then when we want to take like cool like family vacations and go see, like Mount Rushmore or go, where like wherever
Yeah.
we want to go. We at least know and are prepared to be able to travel in the car.
Well,
Because I feel like
and you're
people can
gonna-
be very scared of traveling in the car. And I was one of them. And I still kind of am about this Colorado trip. But I'm going to try and just be positive about it and be like, you know what? Like, if we want to take family trips, like, budget-wise, car trips are, like, for us. And we live in Michigan. There's so many places that we can go. And
The only thing with the car trip is that you have to take extra days off to get where
for
you're
traveling.
going.
Yeah.
Right. That's the only thing, and that's what I always pay attention to, because we're going to Florida for spring break. Well, so that means DJ has, unless we figure it just right, he's going to have 1 or 2 days extra off of work each way. So we're actually going to drive all the way through because it's, what do we figure? I think it's going to be 16 hours to where we're going. And we're going to leave like probably Saturday, like 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. So
Yeah.
we're actually only going to be gone until the following Friday. So we'll get there, like
So you have 2 travel days, basically.
we do, but we made it so that the travel days are kind of on the weekend.
So you
As
have a day of
opposed,
when you get back.
yeah. But, if we were doing a full week, like at this place that we're renting, we would have had to leave like on Thursday,
Right.
because we would have done like Friday to Friday.
Well, that's what we're doing with Colorado.
So,
We're leaving, well, on a Friday, and then we're getting back on like a Saturday or a Sunday. But
yeah.
that's because we have to stop. We can't drive
Right.
straight through.
Well,
So that's the other
yeah.
thing. You have to budget too if you have to stop and get a hotel halfway
Yeah.
through.
So there's
and stuff
extra
like that.
things.
But
And
it's still cheaper than flying for a family of 3.
Well, right.
But
well, and we're a family of 4. So, and then you're going to be a family of 4. So, it's only going to get more expensive for you.
well, and now it's like you can't have Bo as a lap baby anymore. I mean, I don't know the rules now. I heard they were changing them at some point where you have to bring a car seat on the plane now for kids, but I'm not sure if that's a thing. But Bo now I don't think I could have as a lap baby, even though I think you can have him as a lap baby until they're like 2. He would not sit with me.
He
now
would
that he's
sit
mobile.
with you, yeah.
Like we would have to get another seat for him. And then like the new baby we could have as a lap baby. But then you have a lap baby and then you have to deal with like your other kid.
You
and then
can't set
so
that
it's like,
one anyway. Yeah.
Right. So it's like Brett would have
Yeah.
to be with Bo and I would have to just take care of the baby, which is fine. But, that's still you're paying for 3 people.
You get 4
fly.
seats though going, and you can't be together anymore. So then you're going to be like, 2
Then
and
you're
2
2 and 2, and then you're with some rando, which I hate.
Right, or you have to go first class.
Honestly, it's like
right.
I really don't want to sit by anybody else. Can I please just have first class? Well, I mean, some of them are 2. Like the Grand Rapid, like the smaller planes are 2,
yeah.
but like the bigger planes, no. Like you definitely
Right.
have 3. So then
Right.
it's like, oh well.
Well, when we went to
Disney,
Disney,
like, are you gonna get my kids sick? Are you coughing? Like, I'm just like,
when we went to Disney, I upgraded us to first class. It wasn't terribly expensive at the when we got like the offer or whatever. But part of the reason I was okay with it was because I didn't want to
sit by
have
someone
that
else.
weirdness because it was either, DJ sat by himself and we sat, 3 of us.
Or you do a 2 and 2, yeah.
Or and I wasn't good with any, so I'm like, you know what? I'm just doing this. We sat in first class.
I mean, if you can afford to, I would do the same thing. It's like, the thing is with me, it's like, I would put the kid by the window then if I could and sit in the middle, which is always not the most comfortable. But then I'm like, I don't want my kid like bothering the other person and touching them or them touching them. And then you're just trying to like have a barrier, but then you're bumping into them because you're trying to get in the bag.
I have this phobia of like, okay, I don't want to be trapped in with somebody at the aisle. If something happens and
if
they
you have to
won't
pee,
move,
you're like, excuse me.
even like if you've got to get off the plane for some reason, if there's an issue and you all got to get off, and this person won't like hurry up or move or whatever.
The same control issue when I want to, like when like you can deplane and you're next to someone who is like the person that will sit there until like everyone gets off. I'm like, no, I want to get off the plane now. Move your ass. Like, why are you sitting down?
It's
like,
our
get
turn.
Up.
All these people in front of us have gone. It's our aisle.
And then you're like half standing up, like with a knee on your seat, and you're just like, can you move?
Because you
like,
can't stand all the way up because the overhead compartment.
Well, especially if you have like a connecting flight, and you're like, get
God.
up, I need to go. That's the only thing I would prefer an aisle seat for that reason, because I am a control freak. But I literally like push Brett out. Like, I'm like, Brett, hurry up, go.
Let's go. Be aggressive.
Let's move. Let's move.
Gotta move.
And he's like, I'm moving. I can't go. And I'm like, okay.
Oh my gosh. Good grief.
But that's my control issues.
Okay. So we've kind of, again, gone down another little rabbit hole. We started with tips and things with traveling with kids, which we didn't go completely off this time.
No, it's all traveling.
It is all travel related. We're still in a plane. We're still talking about
or
travel
in a car.
things.
It's fine.
Yeah.
Planes, trains, and automobiles. You can do it all.
Oh, we can. All right. I think that kind of does it for my tips. What about you? Do you have anything else?
No, I think that's it. I think you just need to remember that it is something fun for your family and try not to overthink it. Try to be as prepared as possible, but also know things are going to come up and you just kind of got to go with it. Be flexible.
Be flexible. have fun.
And remember,
I was
you're there
trying
to
to
make
think of another F
memories.
and I couldn't.
Like core memories. You're there for the memories. And like now, like we can laugh at these like, you know, catastrophes or funny
Right.
things that happen.
Small
But you know, in the moment
catastrophes.
it might not seem as funny, but just know like you are making memories during all of the travel ups and downs,
Yes.
and it's just a good time for you to spend with your family.
100%.
Thanks for joining us today on She's Got It Together. It's been a real journey sharing and laughing with you all.
We hope you're walking away with a smile on your face and a bit more confidence in your step.
Remember, you're not alone in this crazy ride called life. We're all in this together, one day at a time.
Don't forget to subscribe, leave us a review, and of course, share this podcast with all the incredible women in your life.
Join us next week for more stories, more laughs, and more real talk.
Until then, keep embracing your unique journey and remember, you've got it together more than you think.